Welcome to a brief tutorial on centering. This is going to be the first thing we do when we sit down at the wheel to get our clay ready to build our pot or vessel. What you'll need for centering, really need for throwing, but for centering in particular, first you'll need a bat. Bat is the thing that goes on top of your wheel. Yours has 2 holes, and those correspond to 2 nuts on top of your wheel head. Ta-da, ta-da. That sits right in the middle. That makes it much easier to remove your piece later. Of course, we're going to remove the piece from the bat, but that'll be fine. So from here, we've taken our ball of clay, which we've already wedged. If you have not wedged your ball of clay, you should probably wedge your ball of clay. And you can refer to a different video about wedging. But at this point, I've got my ball of clay. I have water in one, a sponge, and an empty bucket so that I can put water into. So first, I'm just going to get a little bit of water on my clay head, or my wheel head. Just wet that down a little bit. You don't want standing water, just a little bit moist. You can pull some of that off. Just a little damp. And then taking my ball of clay, throw it on the center of the wheel, and see if it gets a connection. Ha-ha! Now, not exactly centered, but we're going to do a little bit of work to get that centered, so I can kind of eyeball it from here, just hit that more in the center. Okay, but now from here, I'm going to get this wet, and you want to make sure that throughout this process that the ball of clay is wet. If it feels sticky on your hands, you want to add more water, and that is pretty true through the whole clay throwing process. So I'm going to throw some water on here, and I'm going to get a body posture that allows me to press that clay down into the wheel head, make sure it gets connected, and then I'm going to build a foundation of my hands that I can press this clay into that really molds it into the direct center of the wheel. Now, a couple of things you need to know. On the right hand, there is a power box for your wheel, and you'll just turn on or turn off your wheel there. Down to the right or left, you also have a foot pedal. And that foot pedal speeds up your wheel. So pressing down. The farther I press, the faster it goes. Ta-da. When centering, you want to be going quite fast. And body mechanics are very important. You want your body to press into the clay and not the clay to move your body. So if we are to see a lot of common images seem to see people with their hands on the side of the clay. But that actually allows the clay to force your hands sideways. And that's not good. You need to be able to force the clay. So in my case, I get as close as I can to this wheel. And I take my elbow and dig my elbow into my hip. You can also use your leg. You can also press down on this, but really pressing against your body so that when that clay hits your hand, it's pressing all the way into your body. And not loose, right? Because it's really easy to press away. So we're going to build this body mechanic so I'm close. I have my elbow pressed into my hips. I'm going to use the butt of my hand and my fingers to press into this clay and press from the other side. We're going to lift it up into a cone. We're going to press down. We're going to lift it up into a cone. We're going to press down. And we're going to keep doing that until this clay moves perfectly through our hands without moving them, so that we can have our hands on the side, spin it really fast, and our hands do not move. Now, really important that we get this right, because from this stage we build our walls. As we build our walls, inconsistencies in where the clay is will be very evident, and you will have higher walls on one side, thicker walls on one side, and the higher you go, the more you build, the more you'll fight it. So the better we center, the more time we spend here, the better set up we are for the future, for building a high piece. Okay, I'll shut up. We can edit that out. Yada yada. So we're gonna get our clay ball very wet. Da-da-da. Elbow into the body, using the palm of my hand. I'm just gonna press down for now, and actually, this is interesting. This wheel is set up for a left-hander, and I'm gonna go the opposite way. So that teaches something else. Underneath here, we have a cord. So this cord, we're just gonna undo, turn halfway, put back in again, and then that's actually gonna change the direction of my wheel head. So now my wheel head spins differently. Ha. All right, so this is all wet. Building my elbow into my body, pressing the clay, pressing down just to make sure that that's connected, right? We don't want to lose connection with that wheel. And then I'm using, just like I said, the bottom of my hand and my fingers on the other side. You notice how my hands are connected? They're not loose. My thumb is wrapped around here so that my hands can work together and use my body as a solid place to work off of. I'm going to pull those things together and come up into a cone. And then going back down, same, my hands are connected, and I'm just going to press down back into something more like a hockey puck. Okay. A little more water. Pulling up into a cone. And down into a hockey puck. Like I said, this is a really important step, so do not skip or cheat this step. Take the extra minute to make sure that this is good. Pulling up, pressing down. And you notice the wheel is moving really fast. This clay is moving really quickly through my hands, and my hands are not moving. That's it. You can clean up that bottom a little bit. And I'm using this empty just to get some of that clay slip off and not into my water. The longer I can preserve cold and clean water, the better. Okay. And there we are, centered and ready to build.